I'm here just at the end of another Directors backed by BDO series. This particular one looked at philanthropy, and in particular in three sectors. We looked at the sporting sector, the charities, and the arts and culture. So I'm here with Rob Waddell from Waddell+Associates, Margi from the Fred Hollows Foundation, and Jonathan from Auckland Theatre. I just want to reflect on some takeaways from that discussion we've just had. It's really interesting. I'll start with you, Rob. You really touched on actually engagement. Obviously, people know you and your high profile, but actually you talked more about getting down to grassroots levels and actually getting communities in sport and kids involved and actually trying to help funding and getting sporting organisations at more of a grassroots level. Is that kind of the theme I picked up what you were touching on?
Yes, and I guess when people think about investing in sport in New Zealand, there might be a perception that there's high performance, and obviously that's an admirable and amazing thing to do, and we do some incredible things on the world stage, but also closely linked is this massive sea of community participation that exists around most of these sports, and that has a really meaningful impact on the health and well-being of our societies, everything from keeping young kids engaged and part of something meaningful to mental wellness to the team building and all the different positives that come out of being involved in community sport.
And you touched on, people know you for your rowing, your America's Cup, and obviously cycling, but actually you're dealing with a lot of sporting codes and helping them in their strategy and helping them in their funding. So how has that come about? Has it helped your profile?
Well, I guess there's a couple of passions of mine that have developed over time. One is sport. I had a long time as an athlete. Then along the way too, I've really enjoyed the sports management and sports marketing side. And I feel confident because it's an area that I know well and understand. Nice. But being involved with all these sports is a privilege. You get to see a really wide range of people's abilities and experiences. And most importantly, being able to make an impact and help and do something meaningful is what I really enjoy.
And that kind of dovetails well into Jonathan from the Auckland Theatre, because for me, what resonated well was your comment about actually theatre and what it does in the arts to actually a community. And you touched on that. I think putting aside the funding, actually, it's the benefits that come out of a vibrant theatre, vibrant arts within a community. Do you want to just quickly touch on that?
Yeah, I think this is really about purpose. Like, what is the point? Why would we exist? Why have a theatre company or any kind of cultural organisation? And, you need to be well run and well administered to get to your goal. But the goal is about betterment of society, about enlightenment of ideas and inspiration. And, I talk about the idea that you can look into other worlds through cultural experiences, whether it's going to an art gallery or being in a library and reading a book or watching a film, or in our case, it's the theatre. You can be transported to somewhere else and to see the world through someone else's eyes. And that's the privilege of leading a cultural institution, is that you're the custodian of that cultural experience that someone can have. So that's what, for me as a CEO, it's always about how can I run this business as well as possible for that purpose.
Yeah. And the thing that I take away is that it just doesn't happen.
No.
It does, whether we like it or not, it needs money. It needs support.
It does.
And it's not all just government.
No.
Which, Margi, on the Fred Hollows, I think you touched on 25 years on in the organisation. It is becoming difficult to get dollars and cents. And in fact, the older generation, I think you touched on that well. The older generation has gone through wars and depressions and the likes, had a more giving type empathy to organisations such as yours, but it's getting harder, isn't it?
It's not necessarily getting harder, it just is that you have to adapt, because that generation, we're never going to see that generation again, one hopes anyway, because they were brought up in the shadow of a war. They were brought up to not want to see anything like that happen again. So one of the first things that they did was think about others and look at people who were less well off than themselves. And that's when many charities came up after that kind of that terrible Second World War, First World War. These generations don't quite have that kind of that shadow behind them, but they still have been brought up to care. It just isn't what different ways will they do that, and so they expect they're more business minded. They want to know what the charity is doing with their money. What they want to know what the charity is what the impact the charity is going to have on the person that they're helping. And then they, as I said, they want to get involved in some way or other as well. So they want to maybe fundraise for you. They might want to run a marathon. They might want to be on your board, or and there's many young people now that are saying, let's just set up a social enterprise company. And so a lot of them are actually doing that, which is fantastic as well.
Yeah, although that does compete with the overarching.
Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. We've got these two wonderful young women who have set up Indigo and Iris, which is they make mascara. The young woman, Bonnie, had been to Vanuatu and seen our work there and wanted to find out a way that she could support it in her own way. She didn't have enough money, so she set up her own company. So it's got nothing to do with us, but 50% of all the profits come to us of the mascara that she makes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Finally, I touched on at the very end, I think if you're going to have a strategy that's got some legs, you need to have a digital, you need to involve some digital piece in your strategy. Do you guys agree with that? Is that like whether it's using innovation, given that younger generation is more connected through phones, social media and the likes, is a digital strategy necessary, do you think?
Well, I'll volunteer from a sporting perspective. It's imperative and more working its way to being the backbone of many organisations. Why? Because it's numbers, it's reach, it's engagement, and it's measurable and it's demonstrable. So when you actually go and talk to people, and you can say, well, this is real, and here's the reach, and these are even being able to segment who those people are, so you can match it with the right sort of people that a partner might be interested in connecting with. Yeah. So and part of growth, it's a really essential part for sport, of growing and engaging participation in sport. If people can see it, they can be it. Yeah. Right across all sectors of sport, female participation, youth, disengaged youth, really growing all those groups that need help and need support.
Yeah, and it's for us, obviously, I mean, and as you say, it's imperative, and digital giving is on the rise, various, in terms of revenue, but more importantly is how can we disrupt the way that we do deliver our programming is in a digital sense, because there is many opportunities in that space, and from mobile phones being able to take retina photographs right through to so we can be able to kind of do diagnostic, if you like, out in villages, as opposed to people having to come into clinics. Those are the kinds of innovations that we're really starting to look at as well.
And I think for us it's three pillars of digital really. One is around automation of the business enterprise itself, and looking to drive efficiency through digital systems. The second is around how we communicate with our audience and our community, which is increasingly through digital channels. And then the third is how we bring that into the performance experience itself. So we're always going to be a live performance experience in a theatre or in a school or in a community hall, but how can we amplify that through, it could be as simple as streaming or broadcast. So those are the three areas that we're grappling with when we talk about digital.
Yeah, and look, I think there's a reason why a stock exchange listed entity called PushPay is on there, because that is actually using platforms and trying to get people to donate. Finally, for me, to thank the three of you, the one thing, and the three of you touched on it, communication and relationships, I think, with your donors, your organisation is key, because one thing that we are observing as a firm is, unfortunately, the challenges being made, either through bequests or wills or trusts, by a younger generation under that whole sense of entitlement. That's a big challenge in your industry. I can tell you relationships and network is really key, because when there's a parting of the ways where the donor hasn't linked somehow with their kids, you are seeing those challenges coming about, and you don't want your donated dollar to end up in a dispute in court, believe me. Again, thank you to the three of you for spending some time this morning with us. And we look forward to getting you back sometime, maybe down the track 5 years, to see just how's it all going.
Yeah,
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.